Hello and welcome to Thrive After Teaching, and I am Zoe Jane. I'm founder of Thrive After Teaching, and today we have Kerry that's with us. And Kerry's going to talk about her journey from the classroom into working from home. Very excited. I think people are very intrigued when they see, going from the classroom to working happily at home. They're like, right, how do I do that? I want to do that too. And I have to say that is what my one thing when I left teaching was I just want to work from home on my computer on my own with nobody else around me. How do I do that? So Kerry, how first of all, before we say how one can do that, tell us, what did you teach, and what's your teaching experiences before you left?
Before I left, okay, well, I was a teacher for. I had to work this out, I think, a few times when I left, like how long I'd been there. But I think it was between 13 and 14 years, and I say that because I did start off as a TA. So I didn't have a traditional educational route in terms of teaching. I was an art student at Chelsea Art College in London for a while, and then moved back up north to do a early childhood studies through the local college, because I kind of did one of those things where I went, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I need a proper job. And teaching is always something I've been attracted to, and kind of working with children, because my mum did that, and kind of it's that what you see and what you know.
Yeah.
So I got a placement as a TA and did my degree in 6 months. Well, I did the third part of my degree in 6 months because I got some credits from my other artwork. And like was kind of rushed into a position and then trained to be a teacher on the job. So at the time, I think it's a little bit similar now, but I think you come out of university and placed into schools. But I got paid for my training. So the year I did is like before NQT, I got paid. So yeah, it's about 14 years in total, including that time. I was then an assistant head. So I worked in primary. I've always worked in primary school. My specialism was kind of early years to start with, but then as it happens, usually in primary, you get kind of pushed along and moved up and down school. But primarily in year 2, I spent a lot of my time, sometime in year 6 in my later years. So yeah, I was assistant head for about 8 years in that primary school. It was quite a large city centre primary school. We had 56 languages. Well, still got 56 languages. So lots of challenges, but lots of, it was really satisfying to work there. And I did love my job for a long time.
Yeah. Gosh, so you've been in the education system for quite a long time.
Yes, yeah. Well, I've just turned 38 this year, so I was quite late into teaching by most standards. So I was in sort of my early 20s when I went into it. And like I say, I didn't have that sort of, I didn't ever go to uni as such. I never stayed in halls. I didn't ever do any of that. So it was kind of a bit of a baptism of fire for me. Just get straight in there when I was sort of 22, 23.
Yeah, it's about average, isn't it? To start teaching. I mean, I was 22 when I started teaching. Fresh out of university, straight into the classroom. Like, it's amazing when looking back. I think, wow, that's literally what I did. Literally just walked into the classroom, obviously got a job. Walked into the classroom and you just left. It's just like, those days you just left to like, what are you going to teach? Bring us? I don't know. What are you going to teach? Oh, yeah.
No, it's crazy.
It's far more relaxed in those days. Write your own plans and everything.
Yeah, I entered teaching in a really strange time because it was, I think, the new Labour government? There was a new curriculum that they'd written and that went into schools and went into training. I was trained on a curriculum that never actually made it into the classroom. So it's like a 1-year period of this new curriculum that was all project based and kind of learning skills based. It sounded amazing. And when I look back, I think I've still got the document somewhere in my pile of stuff that's this side of it. But it was like this curriculum that just sounded so child-centered and amazing. And then as things happen, new government overturned it all. And gradually, obviously, as we know, it became in primary school, became more and more about knowledge rather than skills, and how much you could teach. I think how much you could teach in a day. It was like,
it felt like that, doesn't it? Ready, steady, go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, survived the day.
Yeah, just about.
Anyway, so Kerry, from the classroom, am I right in thinking you do work from home now?
Yes, I do. I got my first taste of working from home in 2020 in lockdown. But now I permanently work from home. Well, home or Costa.
Yeah, I like that. I keep meaning to plan in working from a location. Like, I must go to Costa today with my laptop. There's a lovely pub actually overlooking the sea, and I'm like, yeah, I really must take my laptop there.
No excuse if you're overlooking the sea. I just overlook a car park in Costa, but still, I do like to change the scenery up a bit because.
So, what is it that you do now?
So it's been a bit of a journey, really. I kind of in a developing role, I would say, because when I left so I've only just really left in the summer, so it's coming up to a year now. It's like, oh, it's May.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really left in August 22 and went into VA work. So I worked as an associate, I'll still work actually as an associate VA for a lady called Katie, who's amazing. And I got hooked up with her and connected with her through a group that I was in when I decided to leave teaching. So that was back in the January. Okay. Yeah, January 22. I joined a group similar to yours that was about, skills after teaching, kind of, I suppose working through some mindset blocks and working through kind of feelings that you have that you kind of only just a teacher and what can I do? And surely nobody wants to employ me and all this. And we all have very similar, as you know, similar feelings around that. And it's nice in the first instance just to find people like that. And you think, oh, it's me. Don't just me who thinks I'm only good for a classroom teacher. Exactly. Yeah. So when I was in that group towards sort of the summer, I expressed an interest to want to work in sort of VA roles because I decided quite quickly that I didn't want to be employed as such again. I think me too. Part of my drive to leave was, well, it's my goal now on my business goal planner because my drive is flexibility. Like I want to be flexible. And I thought it was just because I had a new son and it was about my child and wanting to be flexible for him. And that's a big part of it. But I realize now it's for me as well. Like it's what keeps me calm and makes me feel, grounded in myself when I have that flexibility and freedom. And I'm quite a rebellious personality, I've found, that I find kind of that idea of having someone dictating my time really kind of unnerving. So anyway, I got hooked up with Katie, who had a VA business, who's got a VA business, and she was looking for associates. And because she was an ex-teacher herself, she wanted to get associates that were teachers because she understood sort of our skill base and how because we are.
Well, mention her name, Katie
Stone, she's called.
Thought it was. Yeah, brilliant. That's really interesting. I need to get hold of Katie Stone. I need her in here.
She's brilliant. Honestly, she has been, she gave me the confidence, and I've told her this many times. She gave me the confidence to sort of believe that I could apply myself in other ways, and that it wasn't just about sort of that, because you feel very stuck when you leave teaching. I think that's how I felt, very stuck in this sort of position. But I knew I had to let go of the label and sort of take the skills with me. And Katie showed me that was possible, and she really worked with me as a mentor as well. Like, just basic things like, what do you do with a contract? How do you find clients? What do you do? Ask, things like that are very sort of, I don't suppose I thought about until they came up. And then I started putting all these blockers in place that, I can't do that because what if someone asks me this? And what if I don't have an email? And what if I don't have a website? And, and stuff that actually isn't important at the start, at least. So yeah, Katie was amazing. So I still work as an associate for Katie. So that was kind of my bridge, I suppose, out of that sort of teaching into business. Even though I was sort of an associate works, for anyone who doesn't know, it's where you are given the work by the person who owns the business, and then you carry out that work, and then you invoice for that work at the end of the month. So Katie finds the client, so she does the legwork, I guess, in that sense. So it was good. Yeah, it was good for me in the start because it meant that I didn't have to worry about that side of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, since then, very quickly, I realized my sort of area of interest was social media, because prior to all this, I did have a social media account when I had my baby in 2020. We had started like this play group on Instagram, like lots of mums do, and I formed this quite large community that I still have now. It's called the Play Planner, and I support parents in there with kind of child development and play and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had this interest in social media. So from my VA work I was doing, Katie was sending more and more my way that was social media focused. And then I sort of thought to myself, right, I'm at this crossroads now. I can go Play Planner, which is more, I've got a physical product that I sell, or I want to go service-based. And I decided for me, it was the service-based side for now. And then Play Planner would stay dormant, but I've got a community which I love, but dormant as in selling things. So I went down the social media management route. I've invested in myself since then. So I've done a few what I feel were very big investments of courses and things. To start, like, even the idea of spending money to go on a course of any kind was like, oh my gosh,
really hard.
Especially when you've not got, your income's dropped significantly when you're teaching, which, I went from assistant head, full time in June 21 to September. So I don't even know, like 45, 50,000. I don't know. And then went part-time and was like, oh, and this was after maternity as well. So, and then went to nothing. And it's kind of like, for me, it's been that, it has been, it's a shock. But for anyone putting that as a blocker not to leave, I would say don't, because it will come back. And okay, I understand time, things are difficult. You have to make adjustments. Absolutely. We've had to make adjustments, but it's so worth it for your mental health. You just
and it is hard going from having that regular money going into your bank account. It's there every single month. And then literally there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I left with that. I didn't even plan to leave. I left like within 3 weeks. I was gone. The head teacher was really lovely, and he let me go. It was like October. Wanted me to stay till Christmas, and I was like, I just don't want to be here. And I was really, really lucky in that sense that I didn't have to work the term. But going from that money and then having absolutely nothing. I mean, I was fortunate. I do have a husband who does earn the money, and really, really lucky that we could survive without my wage. But still, mentally, that mindset of like, I have no money going in my account, and having to say, I do want to still keep my own bank account. I still want to be financially independent, and it's just, I've always had my own bank account. I mean, I know people work different ways with their partners, but for me to have that independence was really important as a human being.
Absolutely.
Some people don't understand it. They go, oh, we just put our money in one pot, and well, we did, but I still have my own bank account, and we had a shared bank account, but it is still really important that I have that independence. I find I've always been financially, a little bit of independence going on.
Absolutely.
It's really hard, but you do adapt, and I have adapted, and we're much more sort of together with the money now than me, and and it is just the way that you just have to adapt. And actually, I didn't need the money in my bank account. Like, I was fortunate that I didn't desperately need the money, but how much do you really need?
It's interesting when you're forced to actually consider it, because I mean, we spoke about, so I'm in a gay same-sex relationship. Me and my wife have been married since 2014, and we started IVF in 2017. My first, so we've got one child now, and we are just beginning a second round.
Oh wow!
Coming on Thursday. But I mean, it was a journey. We did 2 and a bit years. Our point being that before we started IVF, I mean, Gemma and I went our honeymoon. We traveled across America for 5 weeks. We've done the whole of the central of America and the southern area, and then we've done all the East Coast as well, and then went on a cruise. And we weren't earning loads and loads, but we spent pretty much all of our money on travel. And then we started, yeah, it was. And I don't regret it at all. And then when we started IVF, we realized, oh crap, like we've got no savings, we spent all this money. Our IVF cost almost 30,000 in total, and we had to go into debt and everything. It's all totally worth it, obviously. But what my point being, until you assess what you need and what you don't need, it's very difficult. And we lived in a place of where we spent money on things maybe that were luxuries because that's what we chose to spend our money on. And it's since the IVF, then lockdown, then quitting my job and all of that, it's really made me, especially because Gemma's very frugal and Gemma's she knows what's coming in and out and checks the back today. I've never been one of those people. And I think going into business has forced me to be more mindful. And like you say, if you're not getting that wage as well, because I'm a freelance, and I'm building my own business as well. It's very much dependent on what business and what clients I'm working with. So it's a very different mindset. And actually, I did start this morning listening to a Denise Duffield Thomas.
Oh, I love her. She's brilliant.
Yeah, I knew she was on my radar, but I've never listened or consumed anything from her yet. But I recognised over the last 2 bank holidays spent wisely, looking at my goals and looking at kind of my block. One of my big blocks is money, and like wanting money to come into me and wanting that sort of like having that money and abundance mindset, which I didn't have and I don't have. And I would like to develop it more because I think it's one of the blocks that came from working in an institution for a long time. And obviously teachers tell themselves, and we tell ourselves this narrative, don't we, that we're not in it for the money, we're in it for the children.
We do.
And it's very true. You are obviously, teachers are not motivated by money in most instances, but what happens is you become this sort of like martyr where, for me, I was working, like many teachers do, every hour God sent, and you don't get paid anymore. You just have to turn up, you do it, you're guilted if you're not turned up, you turn up, you're guilted if you're ill. It's sort of like this, it's this way of working that's not about that. It's not money motivated.
Not about money, is it? No, not at all.
No. And then you go into business and suddenly actually it is motivated by money. But I think money's seen as more of an exchange of energy rather than an exchange of finances. It's more of yes, you're paying me, but I'm going to improve your X, Y, and Z.
I'm going to help you. I'm going to support you. Yeah, you're going to benefit. Yeah, absolutely. The money mindset of teachers is a huge area. It's something I'd love to sort of talk more about because there is this ceiling of what you can earn as a teacher. If you just like say the word just a class teacher, because I was I didn't go into leadership or management. So there is that ceiling of what you can achieve financially. And it needs...
Sorry. It just really resonated with me when you said ceiling, because that was one of my other like underlying motivations to leave. Because when I had the sensible money discussion with Gemma that didn't involve emotion, it was, do you know what? I don't want to be a deputy. I don't want to be a head. So what I'm earning right now is exactly what I will earn until the end of time, because barely any increase. And actually what I want for myself is to have that, I'd like to have more abundance. I'd like to have more money. That was one of the original discussions I had. And I remember the feeling of that discussion being really awkward, even though it was with my wife. I was kind of like, oh, I know it sounds really greedy and really horrible, but I just kind of want more money. I want to work less for more money. Is that really bad? And it kind of felt at the time really bad, and like nobody else would possibly think that, and it must come from a place. And it wasn't until like I really stepped into the world of business and started networking with people that this is an actual thing. People make money to teach people how to do that. I was like, it's a thing.
I know. And I remember talking to another teacher, like going for a very good friend of mine, going for a walk, and she's like, well, what do other teachers do? And I said, well, I just met somebody and they are literally an Instagram specialist. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, she's actually making more money than she was in her classroom. and she's an Instagram specialist. And she teaches people how to use Instagram. And she's like, oh my goodness me. I said, there is a huge world out there.
Yes.
If you can tap into some interest or a skill or anything at all, and you can teach somebody else how to do it, there you go. Off you go. You know, you can do it. You can work from home. You've just got to find that pathway. And the journey can take a while, and to get on that journey of knowing what you want to do. And then you think you know what you're doing, and then you discover something else online. You think,
that's what's happened to me.
That's quite lovely. And I'd quite like to do a little bit. That happened with Squarespace web design for me. I was like, actually, I quite like doing this. So I do a bit of that now. And it is, you find new things. And it is a journey, an enjoyable journey. I mean, I now know I would never go back to the classroom. I know it's not my space. I couldn't go and teach again. I could teach children, but I can't do the environment, should we say.
No, I'm the same.
The workload.
I miss so much about it, but the things that I miss are the connections, the people, you know, the people that I work with, the children, like you say, the parents. But when I think about what comes with it, I think no. So one of my kind of long-term goals is potentially to go into schools as like part of the governing body or something like that, you know, where I can support in a different way that's not linked to money or a job
and the workload and Oh, thank you so much, Kerry, for coming in today. It's lovely to meet you. Where can people find out more about what you do?
Okay, so I am mainly on Instagram. So my handle is @theteachermarketer, and it's got an underscore under each word. So _teacher_marketer. And I'm mainly on there, so you can find out a bit more about what I do there. So at the minute, I am taking on work as a social media manager for small businesses, but I am also carving out a one-to-one offer to support teachers who are wanting to go into business. So if you're at those first baby steps of business and you kind of have all those questions like, where do I find clients? What do I do? Do I need a website? Do I need all of that? So that's what that offer is going to be around, but also with some accountability in there as well to help, you know, get those first steps. So yeah, that's where you can find me, and I will be there.
Excellent. You have been a joy to come in, and I use the word interview, but it's not really, it's a chat. You say interview. I'm not interviewing you.
Yeah, happy to chat anytime.
So, thank you so much for coming in today. I wish you well. And do keep in contact, and don't jump off when I say goodbye, because some people jump off. Stay there. All right. Thank you very much.